ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tammy Morris, and I'm here to inform you about the occurrence of sexting amongst teens, the latest fad. I will also include statistics from a study headed by Dr. Jeffrey Temple. Sexting is the act of sending nude pictures or explicit messages via email or text. Dr. Temple conducted the first conclusive study thus far. The previous study lacked factors such as they used whites within the same social status that made them biased. Other studies like landline polls, online polls, they lacked the demographics and the control group. Dr. Temple, his study consisted of 7 Texas high schools, 948 students with a very diverse group of children. The main focus on the study was to find out how many kids are sexting. And the main focus on this is to inform you of the number of kids sending nude pictures. A huge discovery in the study was that sexting was found to mostly lead to sexual behaviors and could be part of the reasons kids have sex sooner than they might have. Sexters were more likely to have dated and have sex than non-sexters. It is possible that sexting could be a gateway to promiscuous behavior and leading to sex, or alternatively, it might be that a couple having sex might use sexting after as a flirtation. Raising awareness and educating parents is something that needs to occur to help kids understand the consequences of their actions. Once that picture's sent, it's gone, and you can never get it back. Parents can take an active role. It also might help soften the blow of giving the sex talk. They can lead in with the sexting talk, and that should make it a non-traditional way to talk about sex with their children. Also include the doctor. Have the doctor talk to their child about sexting. Another important thing is the parents learn sexting lingo. There is a whole lingo they have, and it's important. I'll just give a few examples. CU for six is CU for sex. DUM, do you masturbate? One more is parents are watching, POW. So, anyway, that's something that would be good for you to know. Many teens, 259 out of the 948, had said they sent nude pictures through texting or email. There was no significant difference between boys and girls who sent the sext. As opposed to boys, girls who were asked to send text were bothered by it. Boys, not so much. For girls, it was a prevalence of dating, sex, multiple partners, drug and alcohol use before sex. Boys, the findings were insignificant. Girls run the risk of being labeled. Being called a slut, a whore, or being labeled is easy. Boys didn't have quite as many consequences of the label. Most boys who have sexted do have sex. However, part of those boys that have never sexed have also had sex. So, and unlike the girls, boys sexting was not associated to drugs and alcohol and multiple partners prior to having sex. But both genders who sex were more likely to have had sex. It was pretty equal. What is not knowing? Is sexting bad or normal? For the teenagers and the adolescents, they believe it's normal. It's part of growing up. It's part of something they have to go through. They see it as accepted, and that's why they do it. All the kids are doing it, they do it too. They don't understand the consequences. They feel it's right. It even helps those shy kids be able to express themselves in ways they really couldn't in person because they're too shy, or even over the phone. Texting is more private and not so face-to-face. Although no study is conclusive, the big question is what came first, sex or sexting? That's a hard thing to answer because that could be a whole new study in itself. As far as that, I think it would be 50% sex and then have sex and then have sex, 50% had sex and then sex. That's just my opinion though. What many people might not realize, both teen and parents alike, is the consequences of sending nude pictures. You can never, ever, ever get this picture back. It can float around the internet for years to come, forever. And it can be on that person's phone forever. It can go where you don't want it to go. But that's not the worst. For the criminal charges, if you are caught with the sex, with the text sex, or sending a sex, both parties could be filed felony charges. Those could include child pornography. Child pornography, if convicted, could most likely cause you to register as a sex offender for the rest of your lives. And that is, do you think these charges are too steep for this when it's a normal teenage behavior? I do. I think someone needs to do something about the laws and soften them a little bit, unless it involves bullying. Just like kids, they don't know. They don't know any better, like when they don't wear their seatbelt, when they do drugs and drink alcohol, have unprotected sex. Are they really thinking of the consequences in the long run? Do they really understand what can happen? Sexting ruins lives. Sexting can cause bad reputations, as I mentioned earlier, and for one girl, it caused her to take her own life. Her name is Jessie, and she sent a nude picture to her boyfriend when they broke up. When they broke up, he sent it to all his friends in their school, plus all the other schools in their neighborhood, in their town, and they ridiculed, humiliated, bullied this girl to death. She hung herself. Her mother found her. Schools should take an active role. Communities should take an active role. And in conclusion, pushing forward to educate children about the dangers and consequences of sexting, as well as changing laws to better fit the crime and helping society as a whole. Understand this is happening. We need to be proactive and find the right means to help our teenagers make better choices and not ones that will ruin their life. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes,
I have a 16-year-old kid. He has a cell phone. So how do I know if he's sexting? Does he blush a lot or smile and giggle? Or?
Be invasive. Check his cell phone. Look at his cell phone. There are ways to do that. Or don't give him a cell phone if you can't trust him. But you need to find a way to keep him safe. And look at the consequences of, seriously, he could become a sex offender for the rest of his life and ruin his chance of anything. Any more questions?
As an educator, what do I need to know about sexting and talking to my students?
Please talk to them and let them know the consequences. Let them know the law. Let them know what can happen. Find out the laws in your state and in your county. Find out what you can do to help. Be proactive. Campaign, just like they campaign for venereal diseases. They do that, campaign for this. They campaign for safe sex, using condoms in school. Take an extra step in sexting. Any other questions?
Is it getting worse in the last 2 years?
Actually, we're not sure because the only reliable study is that done by Dr. Temple, and his was just concluded now. So there'll be need to do more studies to see if it's progressively growing or staying the same or lessening. But with the help, hopefully it'll lessen and at least educate our community and work together and band together. Yes, ma'am.
So when I was in high school and I sent inappropriate texts, that could be in my future for the rest of my life?
It could, and it could have ruined your future if you would have got caught with these pictures. If they were nude pictures that you sent, you might see those on the internet now. And the person you sent them to could have turned you in, and you could have gotten in trouble and convicted of a felony.
Can schools turn them in? Like if she were to find them, could she turn them in?
Yes, she could. She can bring it. I would hope that as an educator that they could band together and work together. Thank you so much. Any more questions? Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.